Thank you very much for joining us for this section on From Skills to Action with our customer OneAdvanced in building a future-ready workforce. Over the next 30 minutes, we're going to cover off a number of different things. So, one, learning how OneAdvanced built skills-based frameworks that give real visibility in workforce capabilities, driving better decisions, smarter decisions around learning, hiring, and workforce planning. We'll touch on the introduction to talent marketplace, which we'll cover shortly, and how that is empowering employees of OneAdvanced to take ownership of their own career. And then finally, some of the practical steps that OneAdvanced have learned throughout this journey to move beyond skills gap verification or identification and turn data-driven insights into meaningful development plans, talent decisions, and continuous growth. So with that said, my name's Andrew Brown. I'm a regional director here at Cornerstone. I'm delighted to be joined by the Director of Learning and Development at OneAdvanced, Rachel. Forgive us for these pictures. These are somewhat old.
Don't look like that, either of us.
This is a note to both of us that we need to update our LinkedIn profile every now and again. So Rachel, before we dive in, why don't you give us a brief introduction to who you are, your role, responsibilities, and a little bit on OneAdvanced as well.
Yeah, sure. So as you can see, Rachel Moore, Director of Learning and Development, work for OneAdvanced. We're a software company. We operate around a number of different sectors, health and care, education, government, legal, and provide software within those sectors. And I'm responsible for all of the learning and development across our business. So we've got employees in the UK, India, Australia, and New Zealand, and partnered with Cornerstone to provide our learning platforms at the moment. And we're just about to go live with our software with them called Galaxy or Talent Marketplace, which is helping us develop our skills-based organisation. And this kind of talk to you today about our journey, the things that if I had a time machine and can go back 18 months, what I'd do differently. There's lots of those, and what the future looks like as well.
Great. Well, let's start with that. Let's start with the skills-based framework. And specifically how it gives you greater visibility into your workforce capabilities and empowers you to make smarter decisions around learning and hiring and everything in between.
Yeah, sure. So I think the skills-based org kind of frame wording has been bandied around all over the place for a long time, and we were really keen to be able to move into the skills organisation so that we could identify the skills that we've got currently, the skills that we want people to have, that we need currently for our roles, but also start to think about emerging talent and the skills that we need for the future. And I think that it's been a journey, and it seemed really straightforward when we set out, and it's just not at all. But with the help of some of the software, I don't know how you do it otherwise. It's been a journey.
Yeah. So just sort of doubling into that. So how did you go about building that framework, and more importantly, what were the challenges that you faced along that journey?
I think I've got some slides that I'll share. There we go. There we go. It never works when you want to. So we kind of talk about it from a OneAdvanced perspective. We talk about it in terms of like unleashing potential. That's the kind of the strap line that we've had with this. So looking at individuals and trying to avoid them being pigeonholed in a particular role. Our employee survey is telling us all the time, each quarter, that career pathways, career development is really important to our employees, and we didn't have anything that really supported that. It was the traditional, if your manager left, you could apply for that role. If not, you were, kind of left in the breach. And we wanted to identify what the skills that people had and how they could have that internal mobility as well, so how we could retain those individuals. And the journey that we went on was, first of all, we had to identify the skills associated with each of the roles that we had in our organisation, and then align those to the individuals to make sure that the individuals in those roles had the skills to match what we were saying were essential for those particular roles. We thought would be an easy journey, and I think when we set out on this journey about 18 months ago, we expected to have done all of this within about 4 months. I think I rang Cornerstone and said, right, we want to go live in about 4 months' time. We're about 18 months down and we go live in 3 weeks. We're nearly there. In terms of launching the principles of it. There's loads more work to be done. But we identified through working really closely with the business, when I say we, the people team, working really closely with our business, the function owners, our exco members, managers across the business, to identify what were the skills needed for each of the roles that we have in the organisation. That's our starting point. So the current roles we've got, what are the skills that we need or we think are critical in those particular roles across the business? And then that's taken a number of we've gone back around the wheel a number of times in that, because what we thought 18 months ago versus what we need now. I mean, the world of AI, particularly in a software organisation, the tech part of those roles has shifted considerably. So we've done lots of iterations of those as we've been moving along the journey. And then we've now settled on those. So we've got the skills profiles, and we've also, some of the things on here, we've completely changed our grading structure, because we wanted to provide clear career pathways as well. And in order to do that, we had to change our grading structure. We differentiated between individual contributors and managers. And actually, in order to make this work more effectively, we had to bring those two aligned, because our structure sort of suggested that if you became an individual contributor, and then the next step would be a manager, and actually that's not the case at all. And certainly isn't the case in our business at all either. So we've redone our grading structure as well. So everybody has got a new grade as part of this. Everyone's been given responsibilities and skills as part of their role profiles. So that was kind of the biggest piece of work that's taken a long time. And then the rest of it, we're then looking at career pathways, which this is a screenshot of the software that we're using and how it can identify roles that match your current skill set or future aspirational roles, and how you can be aligned to those. And then we'll have development plans for every individual in the business aligned to where they are currently and where their aspirations need to be.
Right. I was going to ask a little bit about the visibility, but actually I've got a better question than that. So that's a huge change. So culturally, how have you got people aligned to buy into this change?
That's been really difficult, and I can't say we've cracked it just yet. Okay. One of my colleagues is in the audience, and she can see the pain on her face on this one. I don't think we're there yet, because so far everybody's just we've seen a lot of pain around my job title's changed. We're an organisation of about 1,700 employees, and we had over 900 unique job titles within that organisation, which is insane for a size of company that we are. We've streamlined that down to about 500, so lots of people in our business have had their job title changed, and it's amazing how emotive that is. Everybody's had a new grade. Some it's just been a straightforward move across, but some people, their grade's been realigned as well. So it's been in a real emotional roller coaster for our employees and for us. It's been really quite hard. But I think culturally we'll see the shift when they start to see the benefits of what we're doing. So far they've just seen this. The people team have come in and changed my job title and changed my grade and given me a set of skills that they're telling me I now need to be competent in order to do my job. We'll start to see the cultural shift once we start demonstrating the what's in it for me part.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So, I mean, that story resonates for many different reasons, but many of our customers are talking to us about empowering the employee right now to take ownership of their own career. You've obviously been on that journey, and you're at the final throes of that journey when it comes to talent marketplace. How do you feel, once it's in, how is that empowering your employees to sort of take ownership?
Yeah, definitely. So Talent Marketplace is the software that we're using. And what that effectively does, it's linked to our learning platform. So everybody has their individual profile. Their role is associated to the individual. And within the software now, they'll be able to see the skills aligned to that role. And they'll be able to do the assessment, which is up there, the skills assessment, aligned to those skills within their role. So we've got the skill and the proficiency level of that skill for each role. So every role has got a set of skills and then proficiency from sort of beginner right through to expert. And then we've identified what that proficiency should be for each of the roles. So once everybody's done their assessment for themselves, And then the process that we've set up is their manager can do the assessment as well on them. You can also invite anybody else in the organisation to do an assessment on you as well, so anybody that you work closely with. And it's AI driven effectively, so the software then builds up a picture of that individual based on a number of different things. The assessment is really important. The skills that we're saying are critical for the role. You can also upload your CV, and the AI looks at your career history, the jobs that you've had, and makes a recommendation in terms of skills that you might also have over and above the role requirements. And it starts to build up a picture about the individual, so it's very bespoke to the individual themselves. And then going back to what I was saying about the employee survey and how our employees are telling us all the time that they want to have this career progression, they want to see what their career pathways. Well, within the software and talent marketplace, you can, it will recommend roles within our current career architecture. So any roles that are seen as a skills match to yours, it will make those recommendations. It's also now linked to our ATS, so it can, if there's a vacancy in that role, you can go straight through and apply for it. But it will also allow you to select roles that you might be interested in, like an aspirational role, that, and then it will tell you what your skills match is to that particular role as well. And then, because it's linked to our learning platform, we'll recommend learning if you've got any gaps. So it's really going to open up, and that's all down to the individual. As with anything with AI, the more you give it, the more you get back. So our employees will start to see, hopefully, that as they start to feed the platform with more information and more skill information, more information about them as an individual, their preferences, their aspirations, they'll start to get more back. And that's where hopefully we'll start to see this cultural shift as well, because they'll recognise why we've been doing all of this, this work so far.
Super interesting, really interesting. So we've talked about the employee experience. So from a business perspective, what are the outcomes that you're hoping to achieve?
Yeah, let me just move on to the next slide, because that's given us. So we've kind of wrapped around, I mean, I'm here from a learning perspective, but we work as a team in the people team very much from talent right through to workforce planning and everything in between. So the talent team are working really hard on skills-based hiring, so we're hiring based on our needs currently using skills, but also looking at aspirationally what skills do we want for the future. So what's that intelligence telling us that we might need maybe a new role, but it also might be that we need a new skills that we don't have currently as well. So the talent team are looking at that future-focused view as well. And then onboarding, learning, development, career, but also then we're looking at, in terms of workforce planning, where do we need to go? We work for a software company, so AI is driving a lot of the skills that we need currently. It's driving the way we work, it's changing the way we build our software. So how does all of that work, and what's that telling us in terms of the skills that we need that we didn't know we needed? And it might tell us also who in the business has got those skills that we didn't know they had them, because they're doing a particular role now that may not need them. So we've got an opportunity to see what else is in the business.
Right.
For
yeah,
sure.
and I think that's a perfect segue, because I want to focus on, shift the focus slightly, talk about those skills gaps and identifying them as one thing, but turning those insights into action is another. So what practical steps did OneAdvanced take to move from insight to impact?
Yeah, so I mean, we're still really early days, but our learning platform is linked to the skills as well, so everything's skill tagged. So all of our digital content, all of our workshops, courses, anything like that is now tagged, so that if anybody's got a gap, all of that comes through to ensure the development. We're setting up mentoring programs based on skills. So if you have a skill and you're, say, an expert within a particular skill, you can become a mentor in that skill, and the system matches you to somebody who's looking to develop that skill. It's a bit like a dating website for skills. And we can advertise projects as well. So if we've got a project where we're looking for somebody with a particular skill, we can advertise that project, and employees can nominate themselves, or they can be nominated because they've got a particular skill set that maybe we didn't know they had. And also likewise, we can advertise projects that we're looking for people to develop a skill. So it gives you an opportunity to develop as well. But then beyond that, we're now thinking about what does the future of the workforce in our organisation look like in sort of 5 years' time? What have we got now versus what do we need, and where's the gaps? Not just on the individuals that we've got now, but also future focused.
Yeah, it's really, really, really compelling and interesting story. And I think one of our biggest challenges at Cornerstone is helping customers on that journey from inception to impact, and understanding where do I start, at what point do I introduce technology, process, to a point where we're deploying, going live, and actually having tangible impact. So, looking ahead, what does that look like for OneAdvanced? What would be your next steps in terms of that talent journey?
Going live in 3 weeks' time, that would help.
The obvious one.
And then going to take a long holiday. Going live and really taking the employees on the journey with us, because I think until they can really feel and sense what that end result looks like, they won't necessarily know what we're trying to achieve yet.
Yep.
And then I think when we start to really demonstrate the insights it's giving us, where we can see where we've got skills gaps as an organisation, because at the moment we know the skills that are in the profiles, because we've got that data, we've exported that data in a massive spreadsheet, and I know that verbal communication is the number one most common skill across the business. But that's not one that we particularly want to focus on, because we're assuming that most people that work for us, everybody that works for us, has got verbal communication in some shape or form. Otherwise, they wouldn't have got through the interview process. So which of those skills are critical, and which do we want to focus on most? Which are those emerging skills? And they're the ones that, from a learning perspective, that we're going to be focusing. And I've never been in a situation from a learning development director where I've had that level of data, that richness, that we've ever been able to say, this is what the learning journey is going to look like. This is where our focus needs to be. When I'm budget planning for next year, the year after, I've got some real insight into where we need to focus our development agenda. And then the talent team need to know where they're focusing their time in terms of bringing on new talent. And then the people partnering team are looking at, have we got some hotspots of risks, people that might be wanting to leave or showing signs of leaving, who have got skills that we can't afford to lose, and what do we need to do with that?
Super interesting. And that for me is a really interesting, that last point's a really interesting use case, is avoiding attrition. Who do we want to keep versus who are we happy to let sort of exit the business? So giving that insight and giving you the tools to be able to identify that earlier in the process is super impactful. Conscious of time, before we close, advice. So what advice would you give to L&D and HR leaders looking to make a real impact using skills data?
We joked about this yesterday, and we all said if we could turn the clock back, would we even start this? We would, for definite. Would we do it differently? Probably. One of the hardest bits is that the skills, from when we started 18 months ago to where we are now, the skills that were kind of at the top of the list 18 months ago are not the same as the skills we've got now. We know that's why we're doing it, because we know skills are moving, but we hadn't really recognised the level of effort and resource that would be needed to keep all of that. So I think we'd have invested a bit more in how do we maintain that. We hadn't thought about that at the time, and now we're panicking because we do need to do that. What other advice?
I've just put that slide up there just so you can see the...
Yeah, sorry, this is what it looks like in the system. But I think, and we've adapted the software slightly, because we've uploaded the critical skills. The software itself just works basically on AI, and it takes the job title and makes those skills. But we've focused. I work with a bunch of control freaks who really wanted to take a bit of control over that. So that's why we've got the critical skills there. But I think we underestimated the amount of prep work we'd need to do before we launched. So things like the grading, the job titles, harmonisation, taking everybody on the journey with us. And because for most of our business, this wasn't their number one priority. It's been ours, but not theirs. They're all busy building software, and we're just an annoyance in the background. And now suddenly it's hit them hard, because we've got all these employees with new job titles, new grades. And we needed to do that, and I think we underestimated how much time and effort that would take. That's what's kept us. Software bit was the easy bit.
Yeah.
It's all the prep work that's been the really hard bit, that's taken a lot of time. And we have project managers across our business, all with different job titles, all on different grades. Some of them had job descriptions, some of them didn't. A huge amount of work that needed to be done beforehand. But the really exciting bit is the bit, like we're coming to the really exciting bit now, where employees get to see what they can actually do with it.
Yeah. So I was speaking to, I can't remember who I was speaking to earlier, and they were talking about their skills journey, deploying skills, automating sort of proficiency levels, and then having a little bit of pushback from people in the business to say, well, I don't think I'm a 4, I think I'm a 5.
Oh yeah.
Did you come across something similar?
Lots and lots of that. I'm still working through a lot of that. I'm the wrong grade, that's not my job title, that's not my proficiency. And when we do the skill assessment, let me just go to the next slide. This is what the skill assessment, that's the summary of the skill assessment. But I think, I haven't got it on the screen. When they're doing the skill assessment as well, it's like, no, I'm an expert, and it's like, no, you're not. And it's subjective, it is with all of these things, unless we can unless you've actually got real evidence. You've got to bring the evidence to the table if there's a discussion to be had. So when the employee and their manager have that discussion, they have to agree what the proficiency, the assessment score is.
Yeah.
That's interesting, because everybody's got a different view of that.
Isn't it? And we do have this slide as well, which actually that for me brings it to life a little bit in terms of this is the talent marketplace, that's the journey, and that's what Rachel and her team have been deploying, or will be deploying.
Yes, we will be soon, really soon. So this is the career galaxy. So you've got whoever, the person in the middle, and then these are the roles that could be matched based on skills. The emojis are just demonstrate how close it is. And then if you click on a particular role, that's what the career path looks like. And it tells you whether it's 1 level, 2 level, etc. And then if there's gaps in your skill set and the skill set of the particular role, that's where the learning and the development comes in as well, and it makes recommendations for you. So it's that full, complete cycle from an employee perspective.
Oh, it's
really powerful.
Yeah.
We have lots of, I don't know the numbers. Alicia might off the top of her head, but I don't know the numbers about regretted leavers. But we have lots of regretted leavers. People we don't want to go. We don't want them to leave us, and this will make such a difference.
Completely agree. I'm conscious of time. I don't know if it's possible to take questions if anyone does have questions. If not, I think all that's left for me to do is thank you.
Pleasure.
Super insightful. So it's really interesting for us to be partners with you and going on this sort of skills journey. And I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. Hopefully this session inspires others to go on this journey a little bit like OneAdvanced. For those who don't know, Cornerstone are right at the front of the session, the exhibition. Please come and join us on the stand if you have any questions, like a demo. I'd like to ask Rachel questions. I'm sure Rachel will be about. No pressure. Feel free to join us, but thank you very much for your time. And if there are any questions, come and find us. We'll take them on. Thanks again. Cheers.
Thank you.